Welcome back, everyone, to Brown Bag Bets, powered by BETSPERTS. We are your daily dose of quick hit handicapping and sports betting picks. Joining me, as always, in one of my favorite one of his hats, Mr. Andy Molitor. What did you think? I kind of bailed on the game, and it seemed like it was an okay decision. I mean, the Chargers won. The Raiders weren't very good. Did I miss anything interesting in that second half?
The Raiders tempted fate by, well, not only like stomping all over Drew's second half play immediately, but they did the thing where it's like, all right, we're going to turn it on. But man, they didn't. It was too little too late. Their defense was never going to be a defense that really kept a good offense like the Chargers down. They needed the offense clicking right away, and scoring 0 points in the first half was not a good way to win a game like that. Although there was a point when they were driving after a long pass to Henry Ruggs, and they were only down 7 at that point. And I said, "Oh my God, are the Chargers gonna charge her this?" Which hat tip to Brandon Staley, hat tip to Justin Herbert. I think they've got something cooking out there in San Diego / LA. You know, I'm gonna give San Diego credit. I'm gonna say San Diego won a championship when the Chargers finally do get one. But yeah, it was not a great game, especially like me, if you got a good number on the Raiders and just saw it dissolve based on, hey, we're going to run 3, runs up the gut with an injured running back into the back of our linemen, punt the ball away and watch Justin Herbert do Justin Herbert things. Other than that, I mean, you nailed it on first touchdown scores. Tight ends just didn't get the right one. That guy was like 40-1, man. I mean, what are you going to do? Win a third tight end.
It wasn't even listed some places. What are you going to do?
Yeah,
I mean,
he was in the field.
It's part of the deal. It's why we try to stick to some bigger numbers. I mean, it's the Raiders, I think, finally look like we thought the Raiders would look. So I'm curious to see what happens next week. Again, the NFL, it's always tough week to week. We've seen 3 weeks of the Raiders looking, kind of good. And now they kind of looked, after thinking, I think all preseason, everybody that I'd heard, you guys, everything I read, maybe it should be a down year for the Raiders. And then we finally kind of saw that last night. The Chargers are fun, though. I mean, to have all those skill position players, Eckler's really fun. Herbert's really fun. The couple tight ends they do have, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen. So it's a fun team. I'm curious to see. I'm excited to see them play Kansas City again.
Yeah, they do play them tough too. Like that is always going to be a good game, especially the way the Kansas City defenses align themselves. That's another total that'll be in the mid 50s right off the bat, and maybe even bet up. Didn't get crazy involved. It's just funny too. Like the bets that I had on last Sunday's deep dive, both of them won. Everything else I added throughout the week did very poorly. So maybe I should just stay away from that. So I guess I'm sorting through preseason hockey here, but I did bet the Titans -3.5, the over in London, and the Green Bay Bengals over. Looking like the Green Bay Packers may have an injured piece to the secondary, which would really be fun for young Joe Burrow and Mr. Jamar Chase. I'll have more NFL later this week as we get into not only a Thursday night game, but Sunday morning early. Very exciting NFL week, as we were deprived of our early Sunday morning games last year with the lack of the London international NFL games, which honestly, I never thought I cared about that, but it's like, oh man, I kind of wish
so much fun.
What is it, 9:30 a.m. for you? It's just perfect. On the East Coast, you can just
have a little breakfast, a little football. It's almost like watching a major golf event when they actually have coverage early in the morning. Because, for some reason, the PGA doesn't seem to think anybody wants to watch golf any other weekend of the year. But all the major tournaments, for some reason, do great ratings when they have golf in the morning. You get up, you have some breakfast. There's the Masters. They're doing their thing. So Sunday, Annie, instead of getting up and having to figure out maybe which Premier League game I might be allowed to watch and hope all that works out, and that's kind of interesting. No, there'll be football while I'm having my breakfast.
When you get up and you try to find a Premier League game and then you realize there's not one on, they have a Bundesliga game instead, and you end up watching VfB Stuttgart versus Wolfsburg or something, and you end up betting on the match anyway because it's on. So speaking of betting on stuff because it's on, the Yankees will take on the Red Sox tonight in wildcard game number 1, wildcard game number 2 tomorrow. I like how they split them up, not only for TV viewing, but also give the good teams who earned their, direct buys into the DS series, an extra day's rest. The Yankees are taking some money this morning, maybe off the JD Martinez news, but also just it's the Yankees. I guess they're going to take some money.
Well, they're the Red
minus,
Sox. Can't you make the same
yeah,
argument for them?
that's fair. I mean, they're both public-ish teams. Both have awful fan bases. No offense to anyone in those cities,
No
but
offense.
you guys are terrible. Oh, 26 ring. It's a 27 rings. 27
Who
rings.
cares?
Yeah, but the
It's over
Boston
like
people,
200 years. Like,
yeah,
whatever.
the Boston people are just mean. And I know some Boston people that I very much like in my life. So anyway, this total is 8. That has come down a little. I believe that was 8.5. We've got Cole Garrett, former Houston Astro, on the bump for the Yanks, and Nate Eovaldi. And yeah, it was a pretty even series throughout the season there. I believe the Red Sox actually own a slight edge, 10-9. I took a little bit of Boston, just home dog. Oh, serious, like it sucks. I did bet Boston before the JD Martinez news. I think you can get a 115 now. There's a little uptick in New York money, so I'm going to take the Sox here just based on I talked to a couple baseball people. We got a better coach, I think, or manager, I guess if you want to call it what it is in baseball, and a decent lineup. And I talked to a former college pitcher about Cole Garrett's hamstring injury. Says that's not like that's why he's not looking as good right now. Like he's still carrying that, and the spider tack stuff, obviously coming down off that. I was actually at Cole Garrett's first start after the spider tack stuff happened in Minnesota. It's the only baseball game I attended all year. So, and you know what? It was the Twins, so it's hard to say. But yeah, the revenge of the Twins. They've lost to the Yankees like 30 straight times in the playoffs. So I will be taking the Red Sox for numerous reasons that actually make sense, and I just hate the Yankees. So Red Sox
Love a
plus
home
110, plus
dog.
115. Yeah, home
Yeah,
dog.
love a home
Yeah, home
dog.
dog coin flip playoff game for sure.
And if you are going to back the Yankees, and I'm one who may, like you, be subject to the occasional degen bet. I think you just go Yankees team total overs if you think they're going to win. I mean, I can't see the Yankees winning a game like 2-1, 3-1, something like that. So if you are looking for a Yankees angle, that was my only other thought.
Oh yeah. Oh, and if you think the Yankees win the game, maybe grab a little Yankees to win the series, win the AL too. There's some decent numbers on that as well. So
I love that.
tennis 1-2 yesterday, but we won money.
We
Didn't matter,
did.
and you got the first one right out of the way. You got the first one out of the way, so everything from there was gravy. Jan really wasn't competitive, but the other gal I felt like made a match of it. But yeah, Brantmeyer plus 3 something, no plus
I think she
2.
was 255.
It was
Plus
enough.
250. So plus
It was
255.
enough to know that no matter what happened the rest of the day, we would be up on tennis. So congratulations to first name pending, I don't know it, Brantmeyer for winning yesterday over
Reese.
Katie Boulter.
That's
And
right.
yeah, we'll have some more Indian Wells qualifying bets today, and hopefully some outrights tomorrow, I think.
Yeah, the tournament starts Thursday. The draw came out last night. I guess bookmakers, Andy, are busy trying to open NFL lines, this NHL preseason stuff, and baseball playoffs, and NBA is coming because the draw's been out for a good 12, 13, 14 hours at this point, and there are no first-round lines or outrights anywhere. So tomorrow, hopefully they'll be out in the next 24 hours. I'm confident. But we do still have qualifying today. Looking at 3 lines. Unfortunately, we weren't able to find any giant underdogs today, but 3 numbers I really like quite a bit. Mai Hantama playing Kristina Kakova. Kakova, someone we bet against. I can't remember if it was in her first qualifying match or even just last week. Someone that I generally don't think very highly of. Kind of a nice workman-like player, does well in some of the lower level events. Mai Hantama has been playing much better over the last couple of weeks. Kind of a younger player that I see kind of on an upward trajectory, and that's always something I try to get in front of sooner rather than later. As I look at this at minus 125, I like that quite a bit. I have this out to almost minus 150, minus 160 if I tweak some stuff up even higher for recent play. So I like her quite a bit. And Shuo Liang, someone we've backed a couple times. I generally like her as an underdog. She's playing Caroline Dolhide. Again, someone who's a U.S. player, a tour veteran. A very solid player, but at the end of her career, and I think just getting a little too much credit for kind of her name. Again, Liang is someone, for whatever reason, I find that books tend to underprice a lot of the Asian players in North America. I don't know what's going on there, but they just don't seem to get the credit that I seem to think. A lot of my edges, as you've seen the first couple of days here in that way. But Liang, again, I'm happy to take her as an underdog, has had better numbers, has been playing better lately than Dullhide. Again, I think just Dullhide getting too much credit for the last couple of years as opposed to what we've seen this season. And then Reese Brantmeyer, one more time. We're going to keep backing her as an underdog. She's done very well for us. She's playing Martina Trevisan, an Italian player that I do like to back, but only really as an underdog. I find that as a favorite, she's generally very poor. I was honestly going back and look at some stuff last night, and I have to pull in another couple months of stuff. It's hard to get some of those historical line data updated. But as a favorite, she is a big loser. You've done very well the last couple of years as betting against her anytime she's a favorite. Outside of that, of course, like Brantmeyer here, has much better numbers the last couple of weeks and in general. I have this basically as a pick 'em. Again, if I start to tweak some stuff, I get Brantmeyer actually to a favorite. So grabbed her at plus 155, plus 150 still out there. Poke around, you might even be able to do a little bit better. This is another one where I thought about maybe like a 2-0 bet, but Trevisan can be kind of tough. And unfortunately, Andy, it's qualifying. So there's not a ton of these lines out everywhere, and there's definitely not any alt spreads. But if for some reason you can find like a Brantmeyer -2.5, -3, -4, give it a sprinkle.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, if you can get a little bit better, I got plus 156 just now. I often bet my tennis while you're talking. In fact, there's no often about it. That is when I bet my tennis. So I got those three, and I'm excited to ride. Yeah, Reese Brantmeyer. Looks like there is a bunch of alt stuff. I'm gonna look at that once we get off the air. Heading to a little bit of golf. I've been light on the golf just because it is NFL season and these tournaments suck. But it is the Shriners Children's Open.
Are those the
Which
guys that drive the tiny cars?
Yeah, when I
The
think
Yanks?
Shriners, when I think charity, when I think
Simpsons.
children, I think Las Vegas. So this is in beautiful. I think Summerlin. It's not technically Vegas, Vegas, but it is Vegas. I think we have 2 straight weeks in Vegas this time of year because you have CJ Cup next week, which is a goofy one. I don't think that's an event that even has a cut. Somebody did just mention too, Brandon Staley 7-1 for Coach of the Year still. Maybe that's not the worst look. I want to look at some schedules before I get too involved in that. I'll probably dig into that later this week. Haven't dug crazy deep into the Shriners, but I took some of my stuff from previous years, looked at some previous winners, ran some previous numbers, and looked at who's here. Came up with a few outrights I'll be looking at. It's not a bad field. It just lacks the really, really high end, name power, I guess, from some of the big names. I do believe you'll see them next week at CJ. But Abe Answer, this is not an advantageous course for bombers, I don't believe. Like, you really do need to find your way onto the fairway and be a little more accurate. I don't think people are going to miss big, and the rough isn't super penal as far as how deep the rough is, but being able to make that second shot and getting the proper, spin, getting the proper loft on it from a nice spot in the fairway is going to be super beneficial to people. So I like him, even though he's not a big driver. I think his second shot's going to take him places this week, and this is a super scoreable course. There's two, and even for the guys who can't bomb, you're kind of at altitude here. You will be able to reach some of these fives in 2 shots. So there'll be a bunch of eagle putts, which will be fun. Usti goes without saying. He's just very, very good at golf, and he's 33-1. Like, the fact that he's in that secondary group is going to make me bet him. Doesn't matter what I run for numbers. Like, he had a good enough year, or no matter what kind of sample size I take on how he's playing, I'm going to want to back him. He's very good. He probably should have a major win this year. Adam Scott and Mito Pereira, a little deeper down the board at 60, 65-1. These are a couple guys that Mito actually is a decent driver of the ball. He's been finding greens lately. Putting can be a little suspect at times. In fact, that's probably what's going to hurt him. But these are nice, pure bent grass greens. I think he'll be fine here, getting him at a bigger number. I'm almost glad he didn't win last week, Gets me a better number here. And then Adam Scott, I'm trying to find exactly why he is this long. He's a good putter. He's great on approach. He's middle of the pack driving distance guy, finds the greens, good scrambler. just some off the tee numbers aren't as good, and maybe a little bit of his is a little bit of around the green scrambling is middle of the pack, but finding him at 60-1 in this field, I don't mind that at all here. So those 4 guys, and I'll probably have some stuff out later with some matchups. I'll play a little more matchups this week. I have more time this week. I had to do some other podcasts last week, and it just kind of ate into some of my afternoons. Took away from my golf.
Busy.
When does the NBA season start? Speaking of
Less than 2 weeks.
Less than 2 weeks.
I know you're excited.
Brought up some award markets. We've been talking first coach fired, even though Shad Khan didn't have the stones to do it this morning. Somebody in the chat, Zane brought up Zane brought up the coach of the year market. We're going to look at a different league altogether. You've done a few of these previews, and rookie of the year, I don't think you've talked about, although you've got the NBA chat right now just ablaze with hot takes about some of these award markets. I got to catch up with that when we get off the air. Cade Cunningham, right? Just take the chalk, huh?
Yeah, why not? We did that with Coach of the Year. We took the chalk. It's pretty easy. No, is not what I would say. I mean, a Rookie of the Year is kind of messy. As you mentioned, we talked about 6-man. We talked about Most Improved. We talked about Coach of the Year. And those are markets that I generally like to attack and I find more value in. Still poking around MVP. I'm sure we'll talk about it at some point. This was another market that in general all year, the more I looked at it, the less I liked it. You've got Cade Cunningham, the top odds. Obviously, that makes sense as the number 1 pick. But I wonder how long it's going to take him, to translate his game to the NBA, especially on a Pistons team that we've got a team total under on. They are not going to be very good. You look at a guy like Jalen Green, that's a little better situation, but in the Western Conference, you're looking at maybe a higher level of competition, a little better talent for him to face. There's also, more mouths to feed on that team. I wonder if he's going to get the ball enough. Jalen Suggs, he's one of 3 to 4 guards fighting for that starting spot in Orlando. Evan Mobley, we don't know what's going to happen with him trying to fit in the Cavaliers with Jared Allen. So you can really kind of pick apart the top of the list. Some of these middle numbers were kind of interesting. Scotty Barnes is a guy with Toronto. I'm curious to see what they can do with him. Sengun, our buddy Spread loves Sengun. I think he's actually bet this number, and I don't mind it. He's a very talented player. I think if, his injury concerns were a little bit less and, he played here in college or the G League instead of kind of being an international guy, he might have been a higher pick, but those are pretty good. I mean, did any of these names actually stick out to you, Andy? I know there's been a lot of Josh Giddey love, and I know how much how closely you're following the NBA preseason.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some stuff on the timeline, and a lot of my takes, I feel like my priors are so anchored to the draft because the last time I really talked NBA was draft stuff. So, I mean, the fact that the Jalen's and Cade are so low, I mean, that makes sense. But you really do you do look at usage. You're going to have to look at not only usage, but opportunity. And yeah, I think I've read some good takes from Spread and other people on why they're taking some players a little further down the board.
Yeah, and there is a name, but quickly as you look back, LaMelo Ball won last year, Morant the year before that, Doncic, Simmons, Brogdon, Karl Anthony Towns, Andrew Wiggins, Michael Carter Williams, Damian Lillard, Kyrie Irving, Blake Griffin. What you see in that list is generally guys that are the top, 5 picks in the draft, unless it's somebody like Brogdon, in a year where you had an injury there, or it's in a year like, say, who did I miss as I was looking at? And somebody like, Michael Carter Williams, where there really wasn't a great rookie that year. Again, everybody kind of off with injury. It's a really solid class. I like at the top, but like you said, opportunity is key here. And there's a name on the bottom that you might be surprised got put on the list. And there's a reason it's put on the list. I bet that one. Bones Highland. You might know him as Nation.
Yeah,
you might know him as Bones. He looks like he might be the best guard on the Denver Nuggets. Jamal Murray's hurt. We're not sure when he's going to be back. Likely out for most, if not all, the season. They've got a couple guys, Monte Morris, Will Barton, solid NBA players, but not top-level talents, not really great creators. More what you have kind of there is almost small forwards that play shooting guard as opposed to, the Nuggets are really lacking a point guard, another creator. I mean, they run so much of their offense through Jokic and, not to overreact to preseason, but let's overreact to some preseason here. Highland has looked great. I've loved the way he's attacked and gone out there and looked comfortable playing against other NBA guys, the way he's talking about, his general level of confidence. Mike Malone was saying all the right things about getting him some playing time. Jokic hasn't complained about him. He doesn't really say a lot of nice stuff about people, but he doesn't like you, he'll throw you under the bus. So all signs looking pretty good here. Poke around. There's some great numbers for Highland here. 70-1 we've got up here. There's some 80-1s around if you take some time and look. So really like Highland here in what, again, is a really murky market. And, I'll be honest, I don't think Highland's likely to win, but that number should be, in the 20s at this point based on what we've seen and what we've started to read from Nuggets media and stuff. So grab some Highland at a big number and we'll have some fun with that. Maybe add another number later. But again, this is a tough award. So we'll grab a big number and have some fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good team too, and I don't know what are they projected to be as far
like
as
fourth, fifth seed in the West. We might actually talk about them.
Yeah, 3 seed 2 years in a row. Like it's a team that can compete, maybe with not the tippy top of the Western Conference, but it can be there in the 3, 4, 5 seed. And when you're getting high leverage games at the end of the year, and you've had a rookie playing well, it's a good way to get your name into a discussion like this in a media award. So, yeah, I just found some 80-1 while you were yapping, and I'm in. I'm all in. I am in. There's some people in the chat mentioning there's some other places that have 80-1. So 70-80-1, ludicrous. It is
solicited ludicrous yesterday.
Unseemly.
Well, chicken and beer.
Yeah, Luda. Keep it on the hush. Speaking of not keeping it on the hush, we're going to blast this to everybody possible. Arizona, where are you at? Arizona is now open for business. Obviously, it's been a while, but
congratulations, Kyle.
Yeah, we'll have some more. Yeah, the one guy, Kyle, and maybe Penny gets an account, and I don't know if I know anyone else lives in Arizona that's. Anyway, we will have everyone's getting an account. We will have some links shortly for Arizona residents. Arizona residents will be eligible to sign up for WynnBet. And, I've heard it gets cold at night. You might need a fleece. You might need a cool rope hat. You might need $1,000, risk-free bet. Get the gear. It says it right here. Hit us for details.
Get the gear.
If you're scared to go to church, I know it hurts, but we're signing up for WynnBet and getting a fleece and a hat and $1,000 risk-free bet using promo code BETSPERTS1000.
Who says
and
no?
With that, I'm going to go get a Nishan Highland tattoo, and we'll be back tomorrow for WynnBet Wednesday.
That's right, folks. Bones. And definitely not the show bones.